Hi everybody, it's Celestine, and I have a new vlog that is because I asked some people, hold on just a second, there we go, now the glare on my glasses is gone from the screen. No, I asked people on my Facebook what kinds of things they would like to see me talk about from some certain categories, and asked for topics within those categories. And one of those categories was paganism. And somebody asked if I could share a little bit about my personal journey, which I would be happy to do. And so that is what I'm here to do right now. My personal journey started like way back when. Actually, it's pretty much kind of been my whole life. I was raised Baptist, but not in any kind of like really strict Southern Baptist kind of family. Just regular old Baptist, even though we did happen to be in the South. Um, but it was one of those things where once my grandmother got to a certain age where she couldn't really go out to church, we kind of really stopped going, and religion was never a big topic in the family. It was one of those things where you were just assumed to be Christian and be Baptist because that's what everybody in the family was. And nobody ever questioned anything. Nobody ever thought to seek elsewhere because that's just what we were. We were Southern, and we were Christian, and we were Baptists. And that's it. And everybody we knew were Christian Baptists. I don't think when I was little, I don't think we knew anybody who wasn't specifically Baptist. Um, but I've always felt this interest and connection with topics that weren't necessarily a Christian or Baptist bent, such as time travel and magic and spirits and ghosts and just all kinds of things, mind reading, telepathy, that my mother didn't necessarily like think anything of, but she also like didn't understand. And as I got older and went into middle school and then into high school, these interests just kind of only grew. So I guess it's true. Fantasy can lead your children to witchcraft. But I mean, not in the sense like, oh, I'm going to read Harry Potter and I'm going to, start sacrificing things. But, which is not true. That's not what happens. By the time I read Harry Potter, I was already a witch for a long time. But anyway, um, when I was a sophomore in high school, I went to the bookstore and I bought a book that pretty much kind of changed my whole life, in the sense that it made me realize that some of the things that I had been thinking about and wondering about and fantasizing about were in some ways true. That book was The Truth About Witchcraft Today by Scott Cunningham. And I had already, like, even before I picked up this book, even before I knew that Wicca was a real thing, or witchcraft was a real thing, or pagans were real, and not just some historical word, I had kind of already started thinking of myself as a witch, and had already been doing some things that could be considered magic. And then I found this book, and it was like, holy crap, I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm not just fantasizing. I'm not just being this weird kid. This is real. This is real stuff. This actually exists. There are other people out there who are like me, and that was really exciting. So I started basically picking up, I like all the 101 books, like, Scott Cunningham's books, and then Silver Ravenwolf to Ride a Silver Broomstick, all of those. And, like, I pretty much stuck with Llewellyn. I liked Llewellyn's books. These days I don't so much. Well, that's skipping ahead. I'm sorry. So anyway, I started basically picking up and reading like everything that I could put my hands on, and I pretty much decided, yeah, this is me. You know, I'm Wiccan. A lot of people start with Wicca, and there's nothing really wrong with Wicca. Um, but there did come a point later when I started to realize that Wicca was not my place, and that's kind of like this problem that I've always had of, you know, even in the with the weird people, I'm still just that much weirder, and you know, I still can't seem to quite find the place that's mine. And you know, so I looked into the Kemetic Orthodoxy, and I looked into, you know, Celtic Reconstructionism, and the Roman religion, and I've looked into just various, you know, I hung out with the local ADF group for a while, and that was really great, and I met some really great people. But in the end, ADF and Druidism just really didn't seem to be my place either. So it's one of those things where over the years I have basically been focused on looking for an established place that already exists that I would fit in, or that, you know, and I realize that not everybody is going to fit 100%, and that sometimes you have to say, well, you know, maybe I don't agree with this particular thing, but you know, is it something that I can live with? And if it is, you know, maybe you go ahead and you become part of that tradition, or you become part of that religion, and you go ahead and you have the training and you learn. But there was always something that, like, you know, with ADF, I just don't connect with their ritual format at all. I just, you know, there are parts of it that I like, but in general, I just really don't connect with it. The Kemetic Orthodoxy Church, or Kemetic Orthodox Church, was something that seemed really good for a while, and then, you know, I started talking with people who were actually in it, and some things came out. And also, they had this rule that it didn't matter how old you were. If you were living with your parents, you had to have your parents' permission to join the church, and that was never going to happen. That really rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, I'm an adult. I don't need my parents' permission to do anything, and let alone join a church. So that really kind of was off-putting to me. And just, you know, things that I felt were really important to me that I can't find, or were things that I didn't agree with these various established pagan religions. Um, you know, so these days, as I was going to say earlier, these days I don't get a lot of my information from books anymore. I don't buy pagan books. I generally get my information from pagan blogs. I like a couple of blogs on Pathos, and one of the blogs that I really enjoy a lot is Magic from Scratch. Um, that's one of my go-tos. Like, I really want to go back and finish reading a lot of stuff that this person has posted, because I just find everything that they write so fascinating. And it's in this, you know, I consider myself kind of a mystic in a way, and so what they write on Magic from Scratch kind of really resonates with me. You know, and here in the past 6 months or so, I have begun the process of trying to kind of build my own path, my own religion, pagan religion, that is something that is what I need as a pagan, and something that, you know, maybe one day in the future somebody else will say, hey, you know, I agree with this fits me too, to a degree that I can live with. And, you know, I don't necessarily intend for it to become a living tradition, or, you know, for anybody other than me, but I do want it to be accessible for other people, so that if somebody does connect with what I'm doing, that they can follow what I'm doing and do it for themselves. So I have been calling that chaos paganism, mostly because I really connect with the idea of chaos magic. This idea that you don't necessarily need all these rules or these like um, color associations or directional associations, or basically you do what feels right until you find something that works. And if it works, keep it, and if it doesn't, throw it out. If green doesn't mean money to you, then what does? Use that. So I really enjoy that whole idea of chaos paganism, of doing what works for you, and kind of because I'm one of those people that a lot of the accepted color associations don't really resonate with me, and I've kind of always been like, well, what now? Because those things don't feel like what works for me. So I was really happy the day I discovered chaos paganism, or chaos magic. So that's kind of the idea behind chaos paganism, is I am putting together what works for me. And a lot of the structure that I'm putting together will be something that can be, because I plan to make it accessible to other people, a lot of the structure will be something that other people can change if they need to. And part of that is the holidays. Like, I'm not going necessarily by the traditional wheel of the year. Not all pagan religions use the wheel of the year, but a lot do, because it's there. It's something that is accessible. It's something that a lot of people know. And so a lot of pagan religions that aren't Wiccan will still use the wheel of the year as an acceptable, understandable structure. So I've taken two of the holidays from the wheel of the year and have incorporated it into my calendar. But the rest of the holidays, and there are only 6 right now, there aren't even 8. The rest of the holidays that are in my calendar are days that I have created myself to celebrate ideas that I find to be holy and sacred and spiritual, such as a day of self-care. I find that idea really important, that everybody needs to take time to take care of themselves. And because if you don't take care of yourself, then how can you do the work that you're supposed to do, spiritually or physically? How can you help the people that you want to help if you don't take care of yourself? So that's something that I am planning to incorporate into my spiritual, holy days. And another day is a day of creativity, to kind of, because that fits with me, because I'm also asexual. So the idea of this fertility, ritual of Beltane, and I know that Beltane has, a lot of people have kind of taken Beltane and worked it into a way where it doesn't necessarily have to be sexuality and reproductive fertility, but still, for me as an asexual pagan, it was important to me to have a holy day along the same veins, where the fertility in question was completely non-sexual and completely taken out of that context, which there's nothing wrong with that context for allosexual pagans, or even asexual pagans who are sex accepting or sex indifferent, who don't mind it. But I needed something that was comfortable for me, and something that I could celebrate without feeling really confused. But and then there's also the idea that a lot of people consider paganism to be nature centric, and to be all about worshiping nature or deities, in the context of natural phenomena. but I am highly allergic to nature and everything in it, which is disappointing because I would love to be able to be more nature centric and be in nature, but my body and the way it works means that I can't, and that's unfortunate. So I also needed a schedule, a calendar of holy days that took that into account, that my practice is not nature centric and my practice is more centered on devotional and relational work with deities, and also in self work on helping myself to become a better person and be in a better place than I have been in the past. So that's a lot of what my personal practice is about. Um, right now, I have a kind of devotional relationship with Yamaya. That was something that was completely unexpected for me. Um, I had been working with Ganesha, and because I had asked for if there was anybody, any deities out there who wanted to work with me, and Ganesha kind of answered, but it wasn't a hard, yes, yes, please. It was more of a, I'll sure, let's try this out, let's see what if this works, and it could be temporary, and it turned out to be temporary. And then I had been researching Kali, um, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm being woken up in the middle of the night with, the name of Yamaya in my head over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I finally stopped and said, okay, when I get up in the morning, I will start researching Yamaya. I will start looking into Yamaya. I promise. And that's when it stopped and I was able to go back to sleep. So, completely unexpected, not what I was thinking was going to happen, but it happened. And it's been a very good relationship for me so far. And I hope a good relationship for Yamaya. I'm not as sensitive as some people are to communications with deity. But I do definitely have my moments where I know, um, what she wants. Like, there have definitely been moments. Um, I went to Dallas Pagan Pride Day one year and bought just a little knickknack, just something that I liked. It was this great little artistic piece of a little bowl of clay, not very big, about that big, little bowl of clay that had some sand that was put in it, and then it was fired in a kiln, and so the sand turned to glass. And it's just a pretty little piece, and it kind of reminded me of kind of water. I guess that's what was going on, because when I got it home, the next thing I know, I'm getting a definite feeling from Yamaya that is mine. That goes on my shrine. Okay. And that is where it is. That's where it's been ever since. And things like that. Like, I have her shrine. Her shrine is veiled, because that was the message I got. I had been thinking about the possibility of veiling myself and was told, no, not you, veil my shrine. Okay, done that. And actually, I know that what would be better would be to, I have this cabinet back here that you can kind of see, and inside this cabinet is my pagan books and my extra tarot decks and candles and just basically all of my witchy stuff right now. What would be better is for me to one day, if I can get another place to put all of that stuff, to take her shrine and move it into that cabinet where with the doors. That's what she really wants, and I have made the pledge to do that one day, and she seems fine with that arrangement right now. So that's kind of where I am now. That's where I've been. I hope that for my friend who asked that question, I hope that I have answered your question to your satisfaction. I hope that this gives you kind of a little bit of an insight into who I am as a pagan, and not just my friend, but also everybody else. So I will sign off for now. Again, I'm Celestine, and everybody have a good evening. Well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now where I am. So, everybody, have a good morning and a good day. Goodbye.